Hi, I'm Claire Shinsky, and I'm running for Beavercreek School Board. This will probably be my last coffee with Claire prior to the November 7th election, so don't forget to get out and vote. Early voting is open now. Election day is November 7th. Today, I just wanted to go over some of the changes and kind of how it started the State Board of Education. The State Board of Education started as a constitutional amendment that was passed in 1953. If you wanted to look that up, it's Article 4 and then Section 4. The first attempt to pass it in the state was in 1939 and it failed. It eventually passed in 1953, and the full control of the Ohio Department of Education was under the state board by 1956. They wanted to create stability over the educational program, and they had 11 elected nonpartisan positions, just like local school board races. Eventually, in the 90s, 8 appointed roles were added, and those are appointed by the governor. The chairs of the education committees on the Ohio House of Representatives and the Ohio Senate also serve as non-voting members on the board. And the superintendent of public instruction serves as secretary, and they are appointed by the State Board of Education. So some of the responsibilities of the State Board of Education include appointing the superintendent of public instruction, developing education policy and goals for school districts, establishing educational, operational, and financial standards, implementing specific education programs, compiling annual reports for all the school districts, and then their governing authority, the governing bodies, board of trustees, etc. They administer and supervise the allocation and distribution of all state and federal funds to the local schools. They prepare and submit annual reports to the governor and the General Assembly detailing the status, the needs, and any issues with the public schools in the state. And then they make recommendations for necessary legislative action. They prepare and submit biennial budgetary requests to the State Board of Education for their agencies and the public schools of the state to the Director of Budget and Management. And they also adopt procedures, standards, and guidelines for the education of children with disabilities in addition to the federal guidelines that already exist. So the qualifications to be on the State Board of Education, they must be registered voters living in Ohio. They cannot hold an elected or appointed government position or be an employee of a school district while serving on the board. Members that represent a rural school district must live in the rural area and either have children who have attended rural schools, have a professional connection to the rural areas of the state, or be able to demonstrate a connection to the rural areas of the state. So they want to make sure that those rural areas are being represented appropriately. And then for the appointed members that are appointed by the governor, they must live in the district that they represent, and at least 4 out of the 8 must represent rural school districts. Each district is made up of 3 contiguous Senate districts, and the governor determines the state board districts by January 31st following regular redistricting of state legislature maps. So the new law that just passed in Ohio would restrict the power of the State Board of Education to specifically selecting the state superintendent of public instruction and overseeing teacher licensing and school district territory transfers. So all of those other responsibilities I previously listed would now be held in the hands of political appointees instead of elected representatives. This is not a change that came out of nowhere. The state lawmakers have been trying to do this for quite a few years. The law was introduced with the state budget last year. 7 members of the State Board of Education have sued to stop the change on grounds that it violates a constitutional provision that Ohio has that dictates that laws contain only a single subject. A judge agreed with that and said it was likely the plaintiffs would win and issued a temporary restraining order. However, another judge dissolved that restraining order, citing undue burden. So the governor has been allowed to move forward with the change in power at this time. The time will tell what the ultimate outcome of that will be. We'll be watching. I wanted to close with thanking everyone that's followed along with my campaign. It's been very interesting. I've gotten to do a lot of really neat things. Just a couple days ago, I participated in a candidate forum at the high school, which was a great time. The kids asked great questions, and it was really great to hear from students who the policies of the school board affect the most. I look forward to continuing the opportunity to do things like that if elected. We have a lot of issues on our ballot, from statewide issues all the way down to smaller local issues. We have city council, mayor, school board, There's some other non-contested races at the township level. We've got quite a few levies on the ballot, many renewals, a parks levy, there's a school levy. So please go out and make sure your voices are heard, vote early, or vote November 7th. Thank you.